This is one of the greatest recipes in the world you've never heard of. It's also probably the smartest. A soup from nothing, a soup from water. I got this from a woman in Transylvania, in Romania. Her name is Oana Udrea. 2 quarts of water and flavored by caraway seeds, which have been toasted. Then she made a roux with some onion and garlic and flour, thickened the soup with that, and added at the end a fresh pesto made with parsley, the bright pesto, the nice middle level with the onion and garlic, and a fabulous base. This is super smart, super simple, and has great flavor. This is the key ingredient, caraway seeds, and we're going to toast them to bring out their flavor. In this case, we're going to flavor the water to make a stock. Essentially, it's a caraway stock. Now, you're going to smell the caraway when it starts to brown. You do not want to burn it. You want to keep it moving. And once it starts to take on a little color, it's going to go dark fast. Caraway tastes like rye bread. It has a full flavor, but it's kind of a mellow flavor. It's not super sharp. It's actually really well suited to make a stock. Okay, little smoke's coming up. 2 quarts of water go in. To bring that to a simmer, partially cover it, and we'll simmer it for half an hour or so. Eventually we'll strain the caraway out, but this is just to flavor the water. We're going to use this flavored water, this broth, to make the soup. So a 1/4 cup of oil, onion, salt. I've said this a million times. You can listen to onions cooking. If it gets angry, too much heat, you can't hear anything, not enough heat. So it should be kind of a nice, gentle sound, a babbling brook, if you like. So when you're cooking onions, you don't want to get them dark. You want to use sort of medium-low heat. Salt them when they go in the pan to help them release water. And the other thing is you can put the oil and the onions in a cold pan. You don't need to preheat the oil. The reason is the onions are full of water, so if you put them in cold oil, the oil's not going to get into the onion. It's not going to make them greasy because there's no place to go. So it's perfectly fine to start in a cold pan. The problem with heating the oil ahead of time is you may overheat it. Throw the onions in, they splatter, you have too much heat, you start to overcook them quickly. So I think it's better to start cold pan, cold oil, onion, bringing up the temperature, do it that way. Okay, now I'm going to put the garlic in at the very end. Now you can already smell the garlic. Now I'm going to keep stirring it because I don't want the garlic to get stuck on the bottom. A little flour, paprika. So this is like making a roux. Instead of butter, we have oil, like you would for gumbo, and flour, onion. So this will be what's going to add some flavor with the onion and garlic. It's also the flour is going to thicken the liquid. And then the onion flour mixture is going to sort of start to coat the bottom of the pan. Okay, now you're starting to see, you get a film on the bottom. Okay, it's been about half an hour. And now we're going to pour about half the broth through the strainer. So now we want to thicken this liquid with the flour onion mixture. Okay, no more lumps. So bring this up to a simmer. You know, the caraway is almost meaty. It has a dark roux flavor to it. The recipe says to add salt. I like salt. I find most recipes way undersalted. Yeah, more salt. A quick pesto to add a little additional flavor to the soup. Forget everything you know about pesto. You can just throw some herbs in, or green, including something like arugula, or you can use tomatoes, nuts, cheese. In this case, we have walnuts, cheese, and 1 clove garlic. We found that when making pesto in a food processor, it's better to hold off on the greens. You start with the nuts and the cheese and the garlic. So the reason you don't add the greens right away is this gives the nuts an opportunity to really get ground down nicely. If you added everything at once, you probably get bigger pieces. Add the parsley, salt and pepper. So this is a dry pesto. It's very fine. We're going to add a little bit of vinegar to this. If you add it to the food processor bowl, it's going to get pasty. which you don't want. I wouldn't even call this a pesto because it doesn't have oil in it. This is an herbal relish. I guess it's a pesto. Now, does that look like soup from nothing? No, it doesn't. I'll just mix in a little of the pesto here. This has more flavor than most soups I've made. When I first came back from Romania with this recipe, everyone thought this was not going to be a big hit. We made it, and it was like one of our favorite recipes all month. This is so good. So vinegar, fresh herb, and a rich, deep, dark base with a toasted caraway seeds. So it's got those three things. I always say recipes with three things are the best recipes. And they also, by the way, it tastes great with our cheesy Romanian biscuits. The woman who taught me this recipe in a Romanian Saxon village made these as well. Just a very simple walnuts, flour, and spices, essentially. Little butter, little yogurt. Roll it into a log, refrigerate it, cut it, and bake it. So they're cheese biscuits, except they have a nice balance of spices with it as well. So it's not overly cheesy, and they add a ton of flavor. So when you have a nice simple soup, you can serve these and they really go together nicely. It's as if she had graduated from the Cordon Bleu, moved to Transylvania, used what was available, and created recipes that made a ton of sense for her Saxon village. That's the mark of a great cook. Simple kitchen, simple ingredients, great food, right? I'm done. I'm just going to have this for lunch now.